I'm RcVitals, and I choose OGO.
All right.
Alright, we're recording. I got my buddy Thomas Stafford, been my motor guy from the very beginning. Just give like insight. We're just gonna talk motors and stuff like that. Thomas, tell people about you and whatnot. Like the from the RC side. I know
Yo,
you from
what's going
Savannah.
on? Oh yeah, man. It's just one of those things that I've been, racing RC cars for a long time. I mean, really long time. I started off at Score, uh, in Savannah, Georgia. Um, you know, Pat Rossett and those guys. Bubba Ryan.
Bubba.
All of those guys. Back in the day, old race. Jason Brown.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all of those guys from back in the day. I raced with them for a while. Then I kind of moved up to North Carolina, did some racing here. But yeah, right now I'm just, I raced at Scott, at Speed RC for a while, at the Scott Speed. It was an awesome place to race.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it closed down. We are in dire need of a track in this area right now. We're missing it. So
Yeah, that's one thing I tell people, man, when I visit these tracks, man. I was like, y'all guys don't realize how fortunate you are. And I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
hey, we got a carpet track up at Elkin. Well, I don't have a carpet car. I don't have this, or it don't have that. I'm like,
come
hey,
on, man, you can
it's
do
a,
better than that.
it's a track,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh goodness.
support, but
Yep. The slow death.
uh, the topic is, or one of the things I was going to talk about, uh, like your background in motors. Like I said, like any questions I have, like in motors, I come to you. Uh, I see.
Okay, so let me give you some of my basic background first. So,
Okay.
I have a background in electrical engineering,
Right.
and electronics engineering. I started designing motor controls and uh, valve controls, back in the day for Baxter Healthcare,
Right.
and that's kind of where I learned a lot with motors. I also worked for a mine safety company where we had to design motors for efficiency.
Mhm.
When you're dealing with that type of when you're in that type of business, um, efficiency really matters because you only have so much battery capacitance or capability that you could kind of take in the mine with you, because of spark hazards or things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where you had to kind of design for efficiency, and that's when brushless motors are really coming into use. So, I was kind of on the ground floor when we were designing a lot of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I get my motor background from the medical industry and from like the mine safety. So that like coal mine safety
Right.
uh, area.
Right.
Then that just kind of trended off into the hobby of RC, and where I started to tinker with motors. Try to get as close to the line as I possibly could.
Mhm.
You make my motors a little faster there.
TS3
So
Motors.
yeah, hey, you guys want something quick? Order something from me. Call me.
There you go. There you go. Uh, yeah, reach out to me, or I'll. Yeah, reach out to me and I'll inch it. You go. I don't
Yep.
like. Yeah, and I'll link you up and everything. But anyway, uh, so slot machine just got off the roar list, or disqualified, or however you want to say it. And
Mm.
I said when all this happened, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a witch hunt. So they got another one, and it's the Reedy 25.5 motor. They're saying
Wow.
that just got disqualified, or is illegal. Uh, and then people ask the question, well, who runs 25.5 anyway? And it's like
Well,
it's not that. It's
yeah, it's not that, the rule is the rule. Next thing, we're gonna find people are way underweight, and and it's just gonna snowball out of control. So
yeah,
the rule is the rule, but I mean, it is an unfortunate thing, for that kind of to happen. Every motor company, is wanting to be, as fast as either possible. So, I mean, that's just interesting to see that happen. And not only that, you know, every motor company that's like running in the top one or two, I mean, they're doing something um, that the rest of the companies are not. Everyone knows the like Royal rules and the European rules also, and
If more.
so I mean, it's just you got to have an edge.
Mm.
And not only that, it's not that much you can do to these motors to make them that much faster. I think the way the raw rules are written, I think it's pretty clear. In terms of what you can do. I'm not sure. I did read the whole slot machine story, and I kind of looked into some of it, but uh, I'm not sure how much you know that could affect. The motors were fast, but again, it met the um, when you own the motors out or check the impedance of the motors,
Mm.
they were fine. So, um, you know, again, I'm not sure. Maybe it changed some of the uh, return flux or something along those lines. But again, I'm not sure how much of an impact it had. But hey, the rules are the rules, right?
Right.
And you have to follow them. And again, I think uh, every motor company every fast motor company is probably doing something that's right on the line that may be considered maybe outside of the scope of the rules.
Right.
Um, and not only that, there's not that many motor companies out there. There are not a lot of companies that make this stuff.
Right.
You know, um, so I think everyone is pretty much getting most of the stuff from the same 2 or 3 manufacturers out there. Some people are just matching components here and there.
Yeah,
So
like some people think there's hundreds of motor manufacturers that's manufacturing these motors like for all these companies, and over in like China there's not.
no, they're not even. I think I can count on my hand how many actual motor manufacturers there are. Like people who actually, who are stamping out, the lamb stacks, people who are, forming magnets,
Mm.
rotors, and things like that. Now, it's just not that many,
Yeah.
you know.
Uh, are these companies, are they buying the components of the motors, or are they buying complete motors and just tearing them down and finding the best whatever stators and whatnot?
Well, I would say that, it just depends, from what I do understand, I would say that uh, Trinity probably is a master of quality control,
Right.
in the selection of their components. They probably have a really good, you know, uh, you know, let's say they check the items, um, once they receive them from the manufacturer to make sure that all in tolerance. They probably do a grading process to understand, you know, uh, how well balanced, what the resistance of each,
Mm-hmm.
stator line is, even down to probably the material in terms of, what the lamination stack is made out of.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, those things are kind of what matters when you're building a motor. If you got a, lam stack that could, get you a few more percentage points of efficiency, or you, you know, can have better flux return or something like that, you may have a much better motor
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day. Or if you get like a N52 magnet versus like an N49 or N30. So I mean, it's a lot of different things, but there's trade offs with some of this stuff now.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so like when they order motors and say like you order motors and stuff like that, uh, the manufacturers over there, uh, how good is their like quality over there, like quality control? Like, is this stuff like where so say you order a motor, Phantom orders a motor, Trinity orders a motor, y'all get y'all motors in. do y'all got to go through each motor and kind of like check them, or is the quality control over there that good where you can kind of like, okay,
No, you cannot count on that.
okay,
Unfortunately, I mean, it's getting better,
right,
but just like with every other manufacturer, you have to kind of, I mentioned that Trinity probably grades their components. The manufacturer does that too. So for example, let's say you have a rotor
mm-hmm.
that is out of, that's not concentric, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means it's kind of, it has a slight wobble to it, right? Now you may not be able to see this with the eye,
Mm-hmm.
but you can get some gauges that can determine that, if it's, out, not concentric, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they test it and it's not concentric, well, maybe it's not going to be, uh, it might reduce the performance some, but does it reduce it enough to just, trash the rotor and, no, so you still want to use that motor. So there are different grades of motors, in different grades of components,
But you saying you just
but again, that's all determined by the spec.
okay,
You give this motor manufacturer a spec
okay,
and you say, hey, this thing has to be, you know, let me try. I haven't looked at a concentricity spec in a long time, or you know, so maybe you say it can be. Yeah. Oh goodness, Jason, you gonna make me pull out some of my books here, some of my notes. But yeah, so you might say, hey, it could be you know, probably a thou or two, you know, outside of that, and you probably could then balance it with some, I'm sure you see on like the old school rotors, you have like this gum looking material or a piece of epoxy stuck on it
yeah,
to kind of help balance the rotor.
yeah,
So I mean, you could do some of that. Even if you look in your brushless motors now on the front side, you'll probably see some epoxy on it somewhere, and that kind of helps with the balancing. What that means is that the rotor is not fully balanced, so
right,
you need some outside thing, to kind of help out with it.
right.
You know,
So like, so 17.5.
okay.
That's like the big 17.5 and 13.5.
Mhm.
So when you go to uh like the manufacturers, do you say, hey, I want these grade motors like top spec,
Okay, no. So, for example, I mean, you would
like
need to,
I'm clueless on that part.
yeah. So you need to give them a spec to
Okay.
say, hey, hey, I need a 17 and a half turn motor, right?
Right.
And my stator has to be this long. My lamination stack has to be this long. It can't have any radiuses, greater than this. I mean, you have pretty much. I would look at the you know, see what Roy says first. Then,
Yeah.
if you want it worldwide, I'll see what the worldwide spec is also, and then I'll try to come up with a design that's in between, just so you can maximize the way you sell these things off. But again, you need to look at what Roy says, and then you need to try to match there. And how close can you come to that? How consistent can you come to that spec? So, for example, I think it says the resistance between, and don't quote me on this one. I haven't looked at the spec in a while either, but for like a 17.5, it says the resistance between two poles has to be like 35 milliohms or 35 point something milliohms, right? You want to get right there to the line, you know.
Right.
And again, if you're winding something, that may be hard to do.
Uh.
Um,
So.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, just again, it's all about the spec. What you're calling out in the spec. For your motor. So if you go to, let's say, any motor, manufacturer, you need to have a drawing of your can and how do you want the thing to look, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to have some active cooling in there. So you're gonna need to know something, some thermodynamics and electrical and all of this stuff to kind of get these things done. But and mechanical too, because it has bearings in it.
Right.
So I mean, it could be a process, But again, I'll tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
most of the time when you go to these places, they already have a lot of this stuff already pre-built for you that you can just go and select off the shelf. Really,
Right.
like a lot of the motor can designs and oh yeah, a lot of that stuff is already pre-done. You just need to, you know, kind of, hey, select this one colors you want. You know, you know, where do you want your engravings or all
Right.
of that stuff? So I think they've streamlined the process to make it pretty simple.
So.
But again, now if you're going to be that that top tier company,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go the extra mile. You're going to come out with your own spec. You're going to come out with your own tolerances. You're going to come out with pretty much everything.
And that leads into cost.
Guess what? That does.
uh,
But again, performance. You don't. Well, guess what? See, that's another trade off. I think with stock racing, people try to cap the cost at a certain level, but again, I think stock racing is way more expensive than modified racing, just because
yeah.
you know you have a lot more motors, a lot more in there, trick parts on your car, lighter parts on your car.
Yeah.
There's so many more things you have to do to be competitive.
Yeah.
Cut gears in the transmission, ceramic bearings.
Yeah. That's why I don't race 17, or I dabble in 17.5, but
Yeah,
that ain't something I do on the regular, man.
yeah, man. I mean, when you start getting into trying to balance your drivetrain and things like that, man, that could be a huge amount of money.
Yeah. I remember kind of getting off subject. I remember, when I was racing at speed, and I spent extra money for ceramic bearings, and I had people like, "Oh, that's overkill. That's You don't need that." And I'm like, "This is what the top guys are doing." "Oh, no, they're not. That's overkill." And then, boy, when I hit that track, it was like, "Oh, what?
Yeah,
What?"
yeah, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's some things you just can't. You're gonna have to do if you want to be competitive. That's a must.
Yeah. Bringing it back to motors. So, at these companies, these manufacturers, like overseas, do they have do these companies know IFMAR rules and ROAR rules?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these companies are already they're kind of certified already. Like Roy has approved them as one of their manufacturers.
Okay.
So typically, they'll have what type of certifications they have, or even if it's a place where a lot of roar spec motors are built, then yeah, they'll have kind of some signage up there that say, hey, yeah, we're roar. Even if you go to I've been to a couple of the trade shows and things like that, and yeah, man, that's one of the things everyone says, you know, who make either motors or all type of components,
Right.
batteries, uh, you know.
Okay. Okay. Uh, but yeah, no, like I said, it just seems like Oh, and then another thing is uh that came up in the worlds this year was just because the motor is roar approved don't mean it's IFMAR approved, and a lot of our or not I wouldn't say a lot, but some of our top guys got popped in that to where yeah, they've been running roar approved motors at nationals and races
Mhm.
around here, but when they got the IFMAR, they had to go get another brand motor.
Yeah, I think I mean that's one of the things that I think the maybe the industry needs to kind of sort out itself. Maybe Roar needs to get with the you know European and the Japanese. It's pretty much every governing body, and they need to come up with a simple spec.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for stock racing. That everyone can follow. It'll make it a whole lot simpler and a whole lot cheaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, for a lot of people, if you could just deal with one spec. But uh, I will tell you, man. I think you have to look at it. This is not like the old,
Like brush or
yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
yeah. So like you had the, all the brush motors with the fixed timing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think we really need to kind of go back to that era,
Mm-hmm.
for stock racing, just to make it a little more, I guess, fair and try to, you know, make it the true meaning of actual stock racing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What's your view on handout motors like they used to do back in the day?
Oh man, hey, that'll be a great thing. I mean, it's going to bring the cost up, but I think that's a great thing.
You see a lot. You see people that were fast now go back to. It would give her a fair shot, but it'd be like, or a fairer shot, but
Well, I
yeah.
mean, you got to think about it. Even I wouldn't say that. I would say that, um, you know, you could have a fairly average motor and still um, be in the top few races, and that's because virtually stock racing is about consistency. Lap times. You make sure that you're consistent on your lap times. If you have a bubble here or there, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that it's more about um, you know getting your lap times in. Make sure your car is consistent. Don't miss any of your breaking points or your apexes, things like that. I think stock motors more in line with that. So, again, you could have a motor that's slightly slower and still just don't make any mistakes in your racing, and you'll be in the top tier. You know.
Right. Uh. So somebody getting like, so say somebody is new and they get a 17.5 motor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that like people don't talk about. I tried to show it in one of my first videos from way back in 2016, but people don't talk about, okay, somebody buys a 17.5 or a 13.5 motor. What's the proper care can they do to their motor?
I wouldn't tell a beginner to do this, but typically when I get my motors, first thing I do is I
Or
kind of
or,
pull
or,
them
or
apart.
after a
Um,
race day. I mean,
yep. Uh, let's see here. You said after race day for
yeah,
maintenance?
yeah.
No, so these motors, the maintenance is not that terrible. If again, if if you're in a dusty condition, if you're running outside or uh, in a situation where you're going to generate a lot of dust, yeah, you definitely need to clean it. Maybe blow it out, take it loose, clean the bearings out, things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these motors are, a lot different. It's not that much maintenance to do on them. Again, I would do something called a receipt inspection when I get it. I first get it. I'll pop it out. I'll give it a dyno tune real quick to see what the numbers are.
Right.
I'll check the sensor board, which is probably um, with how these motors work. I would probably say the sensor board alignment um, is one of the most important things. Um, you know, Also, just making sure that the rotor is concentric and rotating. Nice. I mean, those are probably the biggest two things I would look at.
Right.
Um, you get those things right, your motor will perform pretty good. Then if you could get, you know, one of the type motors that have, you know, the stator winding as close to the line as possible. So if the spec is 35.4 or whatever it is, milliohms, and you need to be right there, like maybe a point one off max.
Right. So like I've raced against some bringing back the slot machines. Like I've raced against some slot machines on carpet,
Mhm.
and man, it was like those motors were in another league.
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. When I started hearing about it, I had to buy one to try it out, stick it on the dyno, see what kind of numbers. I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was really impressed. But, again, when I looked at all the numbers together,
Mm-hmm.
um, what I noticed that the motor worked well because all of the numbers were properly tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
The sensor board read the same number straight across. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, this is I've never saw that until I had one of the slot machines in hand. And I did get the highest one they had
Right.
at the time. Yep. So all the sensors were same across. The magnet strength was within about 3% from the north to the south side.
Mm.
Um, you know the I mean, even the stated, it was pretty much everything was pretty much the same across all three things.
Right.
So I just, again, I was shocked at that, which led me to say, hey, man, I wonder if anyone else's quality is this good.
Right.
So
Uh,
yeah,
so you think they got that quality straight from their manufacturer, or they done
no,
that
no,
in
no, no,
house?
no, no. Well, again, I don't know. I don't know what kind of spec they
Right.
provide the manufacturer, but they're probably again, Trinity. I would say they're probably grading their parts and they're assembling there.
Mm.
So they get X amount of parts in. They're checking the stator. They're checking the rotors. They're checking the magnet strength. They're checking all of those things, and they grade.
Mm.
So let's say if the rotor strength is let's say 1850. Hey, we're gonna stick it in this box. If it's you know 2000, we're gonna stick it in this box.
Right.
So that's what I mean by grade.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, it was like I said, I raced against him, and it was like,
Yeah, I was man. Again, I was super surprised, but I will say that I think um, if you had a properly designed motor, or even if you was to get some of the cheaper motors out there, I mean, you could still get if you know what you're doing and set the motor up right,
mm-hmm.
or just check for those things. Make sure you get a good sensor board. Make sure that your rotor's concentric. Make sure that you get your stator. I'm gonna say impedance as close to the line as possible. Then man, you're great.
Right.
The motor will perform.
Uh, yeah, in this industry, especially motors, man, we've seen companies like come in and go. We've seen companies come in, be dominant, and they say no, you don't hear like nothing like really like about them. Um, you know,
Well,
yeah,
oh man, hey, this industry, I am a little concerned overall about the health of the industry right now.
right,
Just because, I mean, it seemed like you know, the industry. Well, we know the industry is shrinking. I think we need to come up with, um, better ways and be more creative, in our thinking in terms of how do we uh, generate buzz and how do we get things, um, get people to kind of, come back into the sport,
mm,
and again, the ways to do that is reduce costs, make the sport more visible, get some of the, um, you know, one thing you also we have to address attitude about, the races, that's,
yeah,
oh man, that's crazy,
yeah,
I
and then
think,
okay,
I think uh, yeah, I think we got way too many Madonnas out there.
yep,
Dude, you won one club race. You're not the shit, right?
right,
And if we can get that attitude out of it, and
right,
I think it might be better. You know,
yeah, yeah. There's a lot, and that's another thing is everybody thinks they should be sponsored. They went and hit, all these like little small races and stuff like that, and they think they should be sponsored, and they don't hit the big ones. And then when they
well,
get to the big ones, it's like, oh,
wow. Man, in this day and age, I think, you know, I think that people needed sponsor. So let's say if you look back at the history of racing, right?
mm-hmm,
People needed sponsorships and things like that, pretty much to get the word out and all that stuff, to kind of help. That's why you got all these billboards and people want to put a McDonald's sticker on the side of the car and
yeah,
all of that stuff.
yeah,
I don't know, man. This day and age, it might be a little different, with all of the, you know, Facebook and, YouTube and TikTok and all of this other stuff, man, you can pretty much promote your own brand and reach more people without
That's what I
without
pre.
doing that. So
That's what I preach day one.
yeah, I think the marketing of the industry has changed a lot. And again, you never see any you never see any besides Traxxas, you never see any RC car ads really.
Right. Right.
So it's again, I want to say that I think stakeholders in the industry are going to have to kind of reinvest in the industry to keep it going.
Right. Yeah. I preached that day one where like, you start a motor company, this guy has tire sauce, I have axle nuts or shirts or whatnot, and we buy from each other and then we go and put in the hobby stores, get the hobby store cut and
Mm-hmm.
support the local hobby store and race there and
Yeah. Well,
multiply that and everybody got product in hobby stores and we support it.
yeah, that's something else too. I think that you know a lot of the models that they were back in the day when I started racing at school was kind of like Savannah's pretty much the track is kind of owned by the city. I don't say owned by the city, but the track is owned by the city. They gave us the land and all that stuff,
Right.
or leased it to us, or whatever the fact may be.
Right.
And but again, people who physically own hobby stores and put their money up to get tracks and all of that stuff. I think it's up to the racers to understand that, man, that's a huge investment on one person.
Yes.
And as a business owner,
Yeah.
the worst thing is that here it is that you are losing money or breaking even, and then you have a bunch of
Prima
you
donnas.
know ungrateful ass people crying about everything, right?
Prima donnas.
Yeah, and so I think that's why I say we're gonna have to look at attitude in this. Again, um, you know, open up. Opening a RC track is a huge cost. I mean, especially when you look at rent in Charlotte for let's say 10,000 square foot building. Is $1.65 a square foot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, so 10,000. So you like $16,500 a month for a 10,000 square foot building,
Yeah.
and that's before you even put anything in it. You don't have a dirt. You don't have a surface to race on. You don't have pit tables. You don't have your timing system. I mean, you're talking a huge investment. Initially to get it going.
Mortgage your
And then
house.
now, just to pay your rent, you're talking 16.5, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mortgage your house. Go ahead and kiss that 401k goodbye, and then you do all this and you get a place and you want people to like to support you and all.
Yeah.
And
So I really think that uh, you know the racers are going to have to actually start putting back. They're going to have to actually look at where the value is, and the value is in actually having a place to race.
Yeah.
I mean, if you buy it from one of the online companies versus a lot of the online, like for example, Horizon Hobbies own you know like TLR or something like that, so they're going to get their money out of selling the kits and the parts and all of that stuff. But again, you need to have that local guy make some of that money off of that too. So
Right.
I would there's nothing wrong with ordering them from them, but again, if you want a place to race,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to kind of find a way to support your local track, and even more so, I think that again, you look at some of these tracks that have been there for the longest, now closing, and
Mm-hmm.
you gotta actually ask yourself what's really happening. And I think in the background, I think some people are talking about it, but I don't think enough of the people, industry stakeholders are talking about this.
Right. And uh, you know, bring it back to like say you get your building You get all this before you even got pits, and places are going carpet because carpet in the long run is cheaper than dirt, and then you get to your hobby store and just to
Well,
place an
hold on,
order.
hold on. Don't get me wrong. I think carpet. I think carpet's the future just because it's cleaner.
Right.
And two, um, you know, the maintenance, and not only that, to run an AC system
Yep.
in a place filled with dirt, dude. I mean, you're talking about a huge extra expense. First, you have to pull the dust out the air.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you probably talk about another, 3 to 5 grand a month in expenses.
Yeah.
To run a indoor dirt facility. So, and if you wanted to be like in the South in Charlotte, dude, I mean, it can be in the 90s for weeks.
Yeah.
And how can you race in a place like that with no AC? So,
Yeah.
you definitely would need some form of AC, and so that's why in the South I would definitely say that
And
we probably should be looking more toward carpet track.
well,
Just because, hey, yeah, you can have the AC blowing, your standard filter will pull out the, carpet particles in the air or whatever. So, yeah.
And then where I was headed was like you get to the hobby stores, just to open up an A main account or open up an Horizon account, you gotta come with them more than just $1,000 order. You gotta have a certain amount just to be an authorized, I guess, dealer. Would you say or
Yeah.
uh,
Well, yeah, man, dude. So, man, that's another thing. So, yeah, if you wanted to,
like I think it's a minimum order of like 10,000 or something, like from what I was hearing.
well, I don't know on that end because I've never tried to start that, but I
Right.
can tell you, man, that is again, man, just the whole situation is a huge expense. And I just don't think that people want to risk that right now.
Right. Right. And then and then you go through all that and you got set up, you got a banging hobby store and everything and everything on point, and then you got that driver coming in that's like, I don't like this track. The jumps are not built right.
Man, again, man, that's just one of those things that everybody,
Table's too
yeah,
high.
everyone's gonna have to deal with. Again, man, I think people should just be thankful that they have a place to race at right now.
That's what I preach everywhere I go.
Yeah, especially with things like this, you know, the cost of virtually everything right now, the cost of owning a business, the cost of maintaining and running a business, man, it's high.
So
that $16,000 we talked about earlier. I mean, that's just the building. That's not like lights,
electric, yeah.
Yeah, that's not an employee. That's not that's nothing else but the store.
Yeah.
So man, I mean, you're talking about a whole lot of working capital. I looked at one time. I did look at doing a Hobbytown USA,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the upfront cost was maybe $270. Let me see here. I can't remember. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was maybe $275 liquid, right? To just start it.
Ooh.
So man, you getting off a grip just to start it and get it going.
Right, and this is the side people don't see. This is the prima donnas of it that come to these tracks and critique. They don't see this side. So, imagining putting all that money and stuff up front, and then you get the racer coming in like, yeah, I ain't going back there, such and such. But here's something else racers haven't noticed, or they might have noticed, is there used to be a track within 15 minutes of you. There used to be a track within 20 minutes of you. Now, your average racer is traveling an hour or 45 minutes to a track.
Oh, yeah.
Our closest track is Red Brush now for tent skill, and that's only for the winter. And then after, I think he shuts down March because he's got
Uh-huh.
an 8 scale track. So after March to race 10th scale, we're gonna be driving 3.5 and 4.5 hours to uh, Beach Hobbies or Lake Hamer out there
Uh-huh.
just to race 10th scale.
Okay.
But
So yeah, so man, I had to go back and check it out, just so I wouldn't misquote it. But so they want you to have $60,000 in liquid capital. You need a net worth of 150 and a total investment of 225.
this is Hobby Town.
Yeah, and again, that's a lot of money for somebody to come off to have a, and not only that, you do that, and then you ultimately want to put like a hobby, like a hobby track with it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you just don't want to have that by itself, just so you could, you could regenerate customers and keep the business moving.
yeah,
So yeah, so I would say that, you know, I think that the people who love the sport are gonna have to kind of take a step back, understand, you know, where things are falling short, and pretty much just go from there and try to, I don't want to say mend it, but try to just come up with solutions. No idea is a bad solution.
right.
We just need to, everybody just need to come up with, sit in a room and just start saying stuff. And, the stuff that kind of sticks with everyone is, hey, that's the direction, they take, but again, not only that, but I want to say the racing part of it is dying. I think bashing is still like huge though.
Bashing an 8 scale.
Yeah. Mm, I would say A scale is big, but I don't know if it's growing,
Right.
like that, but I know bashing is huge. I think the drag racing stuff is it's huge right now. Also, out of control.
Right.
So yeah,
And that's because you could set up any parking lot and
yeah,
throw some
pretty
cash
much.
cash down, and you pretty
Yeah,
much have won money versus a trophy, and you can go live off of the money.
hmm
But I also think the tracks that open up. I mean, you talked about it before. They need to have a core of people, like a club. Like Savannah has a club,
yeah,
and you know some dudes. Like say, okay, uh, I got 50 people, and they're gonna pay $30 a month. And these are my core 50. And when we have meetings and stuff like this, and their say so counts. We vote, and
hmm
the votes among the
so
paying core members.
yeah. So I would definitely say if you had a club, it could definitely run a lot smoother.
Like that's the
Or
thing. A lot of these places don't have core members.
yeah, well, that's true. So like core, so let's say if it was a subscription type of thing, right?
Right.
Like a gym. You go and you pay your monthly fee to the gym every month, and you got access to it and all of that stuff.
Right.
If they got that kind of model, to be pretty cool. Um, um, but yeah, if you had a group of core members that you guys can kind of decide if the club was in some kind of trouble, you could have some people who could step in and kind of help out, trustees or whatever. I have no idea, but again, I just know we probably need to start looking at something, maybe a different type of models. Maybe get somebody from the business community to kind of look at it differently. When I say business community, somebody to do some kind of real like deep dive, or
Yeah.
financial analysis, or um, you know, see what's really going on with the industry and
Yeah.
what's happening.
Because I mean, me and you seen here in Charlotte, uh, they built a curling center, and
Dude, man, this is so funny. Is that the city of Charlotte will build a track. Matter of fact, they will build an indoor track. I mean, but you have to get on the list. It's just like any other business.
yeah.
You have to come together as a group. And let's say this group is not for profit.
Mm-hmm.
You get on their list. You tell them, hey, this is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they will put it on your list if they can get it in the budget. You go down there and lobby. Hey, yeah, we need a indoor RC track. We got 1,000 races in 3 hours. Whatever. You
Yeah.
know,
And, and
this is the kind of revenue we project if we have these races and things like that. But I did ask the city of Charlotte once, and they sent me the information, and that's what they told me. Hey, you need a working budget of about $30,000 to $40,000 a year,
mm-hmm.
and we can build you something. It's gonna probably take about 2 years because they have to go through the planning and they have to make it, wheelchair accessible, and the driver stand has to be wheelchair accessible, and all of these things.
And
So
this is probably in every city. You could probably do something like what you.
well, I'm just talking to the city of Charlotte. Like,
right.
for example, man, it was some of the things I saw in their recreation portfolio. I was kind of like, what? So they have like the curling center, and they have like a ping pong place. I think the city of Charlotte, does the flying field here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we have several skate parks in the area. So, there's money in the budget for things like that,
Yeah.
I think we just need to go and, voice up. And not only that, we probably need to come together as a group, start talking, get somebody to kind of spearhead this not-for-profit situation. And hey, then start just talking to the city of Charlotte, get engaged with them. Hey, man, where do you guys want it at? Hey, we want it, let's say in North Charlotte somewhere. You'd be close to Mooresville, where pretty much, race capital of the world, right? Or of the United States, rather. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm laughing here a little bit, but you're right. And, to get on this, it's going to take, 2 years, maybe 3, maybe 4 years tops to get this actually in, like, fruition. But, I'm laughing because another sport I saw on TV was table soccer.
What?
Table soccer. So what they did is they took like a ping pong table, and they were kicking the soccer ball off the table. The ball bounces once on the table, and then it goes to the other side, and the other person kicks it, and it was like ping pong, but with a soccer ball.
Oh, that's crazy.
Guess what sponsors they had on the side of their banners, man?
Man, what did they?
They had Snickers.
Oh, goodness. You know what? I'm going to tell you, man. Hey, if a lot of people, it's pretty much, a no-brainer to go and get, you could get probably, $2,500 from a lot of these huge corporate sponsors. Man, that's just write-off money.
Yeah.
With them. Hey, man, I'm hosting this. You guys mind donating, X amount to the whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But it just baffled me that.
Yeah.
Here it is, and then they had people in the arena watching this, and it's like, wow, like, and that was another thing from the beginning. That's I don't know if people kind of like, well, people don't notice me anyway, but like, I on my cars I started putting Red Bull, Adidas, Monster Energy, Oakley, stuff like that on the side of my cars. Maybe somebody snaps a picture or something and it gets picked up, or as we look at quote unquote AI, maybe that could get recognized somehow, like picked up on from a picture and then like promoted. So
man, I'm gonna tell you, everybody loves free publicity now, so that might be on you.
So from the beginning, I hit the ground running with that. Hopefully that somebody from like, Red Bull or Adidas or something to see it and be like, hey, let's look into this. Hey, wow, let's put some sponsorships on this. And then another thing is, these companies are pretty smart to where they run numbers And if the numbers, as we talked, if the numbers don't match up, man, you can't really do it. You know, if the numbers don't if the numbers don't make sense, don't do it.
Well, I mean, dude, that's I mean, you go into business to make money,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I mean, it has to make sense. That's the thing. It has to make sense.
yeah,
Um,
uh,
a lot of the people, I knew back in the day that open tracks. I mean, it was mainly because their kid was in the RC, and they had the resources and finances to open the track,
right,
and they did that. But as soon as their kid was out of the whole situation, then it was totally different. There's
yeah,
more of a, the passion isn't there in it anymore because my son is not in it or whatever. It just kind of, fell off.
right.
So
And something that I did see, like I some of the tracks I've been to, like New Reds, uh, uh, I want to say Hobbytown, maybe in Columbus, done this also. Uh, a lot of your baseball fields, local baseball fields, do it. Is they would get local businesses and put their banners up and display them around the track. You don't hardly see that at tracks. You see industry banners like people in the RC industry, their companies banners, but you don't
yeah,
see local industry banners like, hey, my buddy has a bread route. This is the name of his bread company. We're gonna put his banner up. Hey, y'all go out and support that. Or
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. Yeah, definitely. Again, you have to get.
you,
You know, who was it? I can't think of the name of the company. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, no, if a company is making a donation, it's your job, to get out there and promote their business as part of what you're doing.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you don't see enough of that.
Yeah, you
Like
definitely need to get some locals, but again, you need to. Uh, I mean, there's so many different avenues. I think that we could we could possibly take.
mhm.
And again, I'm not sure if there's someone, you know, trying to work these type of things on the inside. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the, I'm not, I haven't been racing in a while right now.
uh,
You know, yep, got a, had a baby, and that just kind of,
oh yeah,
derailed a lot of things. But no, I'm still getting, motors and stuff like that. And,
Kyle, Kyle,
I'm looking at all of my. I think I have 9, Losi cars up here, TLR cars up here put together. No, you know, 4.0s and 5.0 elites and the 4-wheel drive, and I got 2 of the 4.0 trucks up here. So
yeah, it's
converted. So yeah, so I mean, tons of stuff waiting in tip top shape, ready to go.
yeah, uh, yeah. If you look at the beginning forms of any kind of racing,
Hmm.
that's how they started. Like when you look at like Wendell Scott's car or Dale Earnhardt's dad's car from early days, they had local businesses helping them at their racing out.
Hmm.
And RC just we're still supporting the bigger brands that yeah they
Right.
support the tracks, but like we're not reaching outside RC.
I think, um, yeah. So I think we're gonna have to, do the same.
Mm.
I mean, we're gonna have to support the bigger brands and bring local people in, and somehow support the,
The majors.
yeah. So like another thing about that too, with the like, and this is gonna sound, with like, advances in technology such as like, you got all the internet capacity now, and it used to, you did not have direct to consumer,
Right.
right? So a lot of places are getting rid of the middlemen, and the middlemen are technically the people who have the hobby shops, who have the,
Right.
those are, I mean, so if I can go in to buy it directly from, the source, you know, ultimately you're going to get it from the, cheapest place possible.
Right.
But again, that may not always be the best option because, again, that might be the lifeline. You're buying stuff to race at a track you may not have. So, I mean, unfortunately, you might be killing yourself,
I was interviewing uh Tom on the show, and we was talking about sponsorship. All sponsorships now, if you're not 100% or 75%, all sponsorships that are below 50 or whatnot, you're just like you're a guaranteed customer.
Mm.
And what that means is you buy parts directly through them, but you're signed a contract that you run their stuff and you buy it directly through them. So you cut out the hobby stores, and that way the brand or whatnot. He didn't mean it in a harsh way, but it was like the companies now have just by contracts have just made guaranteed customers out of the racers.
Mm.
So
Oh. I don't. Maybe a different concept. I don't think any of them would do this, but I think like the bigger companies should probably have tracks in all like big metropolitan areas. Like if you got a couple hundred races, five, let's say 200 or 300 dedicated racers,
mm-hmm.
or more, might be a good investment for like a big company to put in one of these things.
Like X-Ray
Yeah,
has their
it
facility.
might, yeah, so it might keep your business, going a lot longer.
Yeah. So it'd be like X-Ray. Like X-Ray has their racing facilities over there, and then like here we could have, I don't know, I'll throw it out, the Trinity Dirt Oval Track or Trinity Off Road Carpet or Protect uh, Track.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely have something like that. But again, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I just think that just to keep it alive, some of the bigger companies with more resources and people to navigate some of the things, you know,
Right.
uh, you, some of the missing, business aspects to kind of bring to the sport.
Right. Yeah, we're an hour in.
What?
Yeah, we've been talking an hour.
Oh no.
Uh,
You're gonna have to probably delete half of it.
Anything you want to mention? I mean, we can go like me and Tom talk for an hour and 40 minutes or something like that.
Oh no, man! Actually, man, hey, it's getting close to my bed. It's already 1:30.
Yeah.
So it's getting close to my bedtime here. But man, no, it's just what. Hey, this is the sport that all of us love. I think we need to come together, quit you know, foolishness, bickering, and stupid stuff, just so we can have a place in the future to race.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
um, I think there's a lot of a lot of things we can do to kind of come together and just ensure a lot of people like municipalities again like Charlotte are willing to work with us. I think that if I could remember from several years ago, um, they said that hey, yeah, we can give you an outdoor track tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it'll take 2 years or so to build a place to race.
Well,
And
A May
yeah.
is the guy got on. I forgot whose podcast. I think it was either No Names or Brent's podcast, and
Mhm.
or it's probably No Names, and or No Name RC. Keenan White's
Mhm.
probably podcast, and he even said that he might build something in Charlotte.
Oh, please, I'm begging this guy. Hey,
But he said that
what do I need to do here?
he said that a year ago. I think it's coming up on
Yeah.
a year ago. And still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, what I need to do? I can volunteer. I can help. I can even pitch in a few dollars.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've seen their facility, or I've seen videos of their facility out in California, and that stuff is unreal of what they got out
Oh
there.
man, dude, that again, I must say, it might be attitude,
Yeah, the
You know,
locals' attitude.
I could tell you 100% different. There's a 100% difference in the attitude of the races when you got to California versus like in this area.
Yeah, you say you went to SDRC or something, and they were like, "Hey, you can drive
Yeah,
my
yeah, I
car."
can believe it. Yeah, no, I mean everyone was just absolutely super friendly. It was like, hey, oh man, you from here? Oh yeah, come on in, try this,
Yeah,
try that. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I mean, it was just an unbelievable experience of how friendly and welcoming everyone was.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I think we probably just need to again find maybe you where our most successful tracks are and try to mimic or replicate what they've done. Just so we can have, but it made me possibly breathe life back into the sport. Just in general.
right, right. Well, TS3, thank you, man.
Oh man, no problem, man.
Uh, I'll put,
Oh goodness,
I'll
you got
post.
me up. Hey, it's 1:30 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can go talk all night, but yeah, if they want your motors, uh, do you want to get in contact with you directly or get in contact with me?
Oh
And
no, man. Hey, give me a text. My number.
oh no, don't give your phone number out. No, no,
I'll
no,
get my number. It don't matter to me.
no, don't do that. Trust me.
No, just hit me on Facebook. My real name is Thomas Stafford. So
Yeah,
hit me up, Thomas Stafford, and Charlotte, North Carolina,
yeah,
and you'll see me because I'm probably linked to all the races out here, and
yeah,
just hey, send me a message. Hey, you like to get a motor,
yeah,
and pretty much just let me know what you're trying to do, and I'll send you the motor with the best numbers you got. I got a few tricks up my sleeve here, so
yep,
and
yep.
I'm guaranteeing you it'll be a pretty quick motor.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you, TS3, man.
All right, man.
Man, holler at me.
All right, you have a good one now.
You too.
All right.
Bye. Ooh. That's TS3 there. That's my motor guy. Good show. Not show. Good conversation. If you like what we're talking about, if you like, what you heard, you put in background or put it on while you're wrenching or whatnot, or while you're driving or whatnot. But like, subscribe, thumbs up, man. Be active. Yeah. See y'all. You see me at the track? Come up to me and say what's up. See you soon.